Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Dating Game with Troy Francis, with myself, Troy Francis, dating coach for over a decade, helping guys all over the planet to get better results in the current tumultuous circumstances of modern dating, and helping out women as well a little bit too. So, happy Valentine's Day. Hope you guys are good. Hope that you are looking forward to a romantic evening this evening with your chosen partner, cuddling up with your loved one in front of a log fire. Maybe you guys are going to be listening to some music together, making some sweet love on the fur rug. Maybe you're going to be gazing into each other's eyes and thinking about names for each other's children that you're going to have in the whole wonderful happiness of your future, in the white picket fence, eternity that you guys are going to share together in the Christ pill trad dream that you are constructing in your own life on the basis of all the wonderful advice that you've read on the internet. I very much hope that that is the case for you. But if it isn't, and you're screwed, and you're sitting there in your pants, eating noodles and watching this because you haven't got a date today and you're feeling a little bit down and a little bit depressed and you don't quite know what to do, then don't worry, you're in the right place. We are here to help. So I was going to talk about Drake today, and I was going to talk about Drake's nudes and all of that kind of stuff. And just because I thought, like my girl likes Drake and it's, he's kind of a popular celebrity and there's been some shit going on with him and this TikToker currently. And then I thought, you know what? I can't talk about that now because it's Valentine's Day and, we need to be giving some hope. We need to be giving something back, right? We need to be looking at Valentine's Day, trying to sort of, talk each other off the ledge, so to speak, as far as anxiety around this is concerned. And recognize that both men and women have difficulties on this day, okay? Unless you happen to have somebody or you're in a situationship or something, it can be, it can be a funny day to get through on your own. Not for everybody. So most people sensibly just don't really give a damn, but there are people who care. And if you are one of those, then you are in the right place. So do please make sure that you hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Any questions, any comments, put them into the chat and we will deal with them. So, marriage causes divorce. Good to see you, man. Says cuffing season is over. Men can start dating from tomorrow onwards. Yes, absolutely. So, I was just having a look at, some of the stuff about Valentine's Day alone, and I thought we'd look at a couple of videos and let's do a compare and contrast for fun between the male experience of Valentine's Day alone and the female experience of Valentine's Day alone, okay? And we've got some interesting ones to look at. Now, I've had a quick cursory glance at these, but I haven't really looked at these fully, so I will be discovering this along with you. So this one is by a YouTuber called LoggerGM, who I believe is Korean, and he does a vlog. When did this come out? Was this Oh, this was last year. Okay, so this is from last year, but he does a vlog about Valentine's Day alone. So let's go ahead and get into it and see what he has to say. And by the way, just to keep you guys on here, what we're going to do later is I did a post on X where I talked about 5 tips to actually get a date tonight if you haven't got one already. So stay tuned because we're going to be getting into some actionable advice as we get through this. Anyway, with that being said, let's have a look at this vlog.
Always possible. That's what I just...
Oh no, he's had 21 Valentine's Days alone and he's 21 years old. Oh, what a disaster. I think to be honest, I think probably by the time I was 21, I maybe possibly had one Valentine's Day with somebody. That was kind of it. So let's get too wound up about this.
Wondered if anyone's really looked at that. Is that what's going on?
I sped this up a little bit just to get through this. I mean, I have to say, this dude is much more together than I was at 21. I mean, like, to buy all these ingredients and to put together this meal, I mean, it's pretty... not bad, man, really. You know what I'm saying? It's like... he seems to have everything together. He seems like his apartment seems to be clean. He seems to have some good cooking equipment there. Seems like he's in pretty good shape, So basically, the single Korean dude on his own for Valentine's Day cooks a bunch of bean sprouts. This is what we are learning so far. Oh, Jesus. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. This guy's got some skills, man. I tell you what, my cooking skills are like 0. Looks pretty healthy. All right, so this is basically a cooking video. So this guy's just like saying, yeah, I haven't found love on Valentine's Day. I'm just going to cook a load of shit instead. Right, okay. I've already got myself, and that's all I need. So I think that is an important. I think that's an important message, actually. We were talking about this yesterday when we were talking about Dr. Orion and Robert Glover, and Robert Glover was making this point, and it's a hackneyed point that gets made all over the place with self-development and relationship advice. But basically, you kind of got to love yourself, or at least you've got to be happy in your own company. Okay, you've got to be comfortable just being on your own before you start getting into the complexities of bringing someone else into the equation. Okay, and I think a lot of people, people I've known in my own life, they think that, okay, if I can just find a partner, if I can find a girlfriend, if I can find a boyfriend, whatever it is, then that is going to make me whole. That's going to make me complete. And that is going to solve the existential problem that I have of living on this planet in my own head, in my own body. Okay. And it really won't. It really won't. And that is kind of the message, as patronizing as it sounds, but to people who are unable to get into relationships, or they feel that they've been dealt a bad hand in the dating marketplace. They can't meet girls. They're screwed over by society, or that's how they feel. The harsh truth is that the blackest of black pills is that actually when you get into the relationship, that's when your problems really start. Like before you're in the relationship, at least you've only got to deal with yourself and your head, okay? When you get into the relationship, then you've got to deal with yourself, your head, and someone else, and their head. And if you're Destiny, you've got to deal with a load of other people's heads and bodies and physicality and consciousness as well. So you're completely screwed, all right? So when you're on your own, there's some advantages to that, to be honest. And this dude, he doesn't look like he's having too bad of a time. Do something nice for yourself today. That's good advice, isn't it? That's good, wholesome. That's the kind of advice we want on this channel. Good, wholesome, just bread and butter advice. Do something nice for yourself for today. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling like, Jesus, these 304s, I'm never going to crack this dating marketplace. I'm forever alone. Just take time out. Do something good for yourself, okay? Treat yourself. Whether it's making a complicated meal like this dude, or whether it's just going down to McDonald's and buying a burger or buying a milkshake. Just do something nice. Just treat yourself well. Don't beat yourself up. You can't solve your entire life's problems in one day. It's just not possible to do that, okay? So just accept where you are. Okay, it's fine. It's only one night. And just do something cool for yourself. Oh, he's on the shots now. He's on the shots. Yes, descend into daytime alcoholism. That is the solution. What is that? Man. Do you know what? I don't think I've ever cooked a barbecue like this in my entire life. So this dude at 21 years old, I mean, he's light years ahead of me in terms of the self-care side of things. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, and good on him, right, for that. I mean, again, I have to say, looking at this dude, and this isn't a particularly self-pitying video. This isn't particularly like a black pill video, I don't think. I think this is a fairly together guy. But when I was 21, I was completely all over the place. I was drinking, I was partying the whole time. I certainly wasn't cooking a beautifully prepared barbecue on my special home grill or whatever this thing is. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that's kind of how it was for me. And this, by the way, is why I think that people will have these arguments online about how do guys get better as they age or not, and there are a contingent of women and men who will argue no. When you're in your 20s, you're at the absolute peak, and it's all downhill from there. But when you look at a guy like this, decent-looking guy, but I would not say that he has yet grown into his looks. I think when he hits his late 20s or into his 30s, he's going to look a lot better because he'll probably look more masculine. He's just going to inhabit, like at the moment, he's got this childlike sort of look to him. And it's not really surprising that a lot of women aren't taking that on board, okay? Because he doesn't have, and we're going to be talking about masculine dominance. So I'm going to be talking about it in a video for a show that Pearl's doing later. But he doesn't have that look of masculine dominant presence, okay, that women find so attractive. And so this is one of the disadvantages of youth. I mean, people think, well, if you're young, it's all great. And if you're an old bastard like me, then it's all over. But actually, the reality is that you do start to accrue advantages as you get a little bit older. It starts to compound for male dating market value. All right, so he's eating. What's he going to do? So good. Okay, what's he going to do? Is he going to get a hook around now? Or okay. All right, so his band's released a new song. Not his band, I mean some band. Who's that bird? Oh, is he... I woke my sister up from a nap. Okay, he's looking after his family. Again, great stuff. Very wholesome. He's drinking down the shots like a trooper. Eating something else. More shots. I'm so full. So basically, do something nice for yourself today. Okay, that's good advice. Treat yourself kindly. There you go. Okay, see you in the next video. Great. All right, so look, there's some Zoomer Generation Z advice about, as a 21-year-old dude, how to get through Valentine's Day on your own. And, to be honest, it didn't look that bad. This guy looks pretty together. He cooked a very nice meal. He had a bunch of, I assume those things were shots, right? He had a bunch of shots. He got his sister involved, gave her a meal as well. All good, right? So not a bad outcome, but there will be guys of his age who will be sitting there going, oh my God, I'm never going to get laid. I'm never going to get, I'm never going to find love, etc., etc. This guy, he's not doing that. He's just getting on with his life and he's treating himself well. And I think that there's actually quite a positive little message in that video. So let's have a look through the chat. Weaponry Fitness, here for support. Thanks, bro. Very much appreciate it. Little Nikki, happy Valentine's Day. And to you too. Little Nikki, thank you for the support, as always. Christian Hernandez says, what's your opinion on OGs like Mystery or RSD? Yeah, really good. I mean, it's a big topic. Yeah, I mean, what can you say, really? I mean, both of those, Mystery kind of underpinned the entire sort of game advice industry, really, from 2004 or whenever the game came out, and then his books, Mystery Method and the other one. RSD, loads and loads of great content back in the day, and they continue to make great content now. So yeah, thumbs up. Little Nicky, Valentine's Day, it's commercial tosh. Troy, do you think turning up to a date with flowers and chocolates is a good idea? No, not really, unless you are in Ukraine or you're in Uzbekistan or something like that. I wouldn't say for the most part. Or if it's your girlfriend, I mean, if you've been dating her, you guys are already in a physical relationship, then you might want to do something sweet like that. But for the most part, if it's like a first date, I wouldn't say so, not in the West. Why doesn't he at least have a dog, says Christian Hernandez. Indeed. Well, he's got his sister, so ha ha ha. If you're alone this Valentine's Day, just remember no one loves you the other 364 days either. That is true. That is true. Yeah, cool. Okay. All right. We've got 8 concurrent viewers in here. So please, we want 8 likes in the chat at least. We want to push this one up the charts, get this one up the algo. So what we're going to do now is, in contrast to that, let's have a look at the female experience of spending Valentine's Day alone. Now, this lady called Tam Kaur, who is I think she's like a wellness kind of self-development blogger. Pretty famous, pretty big on YouTube, etc., etc. She's made not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive years videos about being alone on Valentine's Day. Okay, now she's an attractive lady, so presumably this is her choice. I don't know anything about her, so we'll find out perhaps. But she's made a bunch of videos about being alone as a girl on Valentine's Day. So let's see what she has to say. let's have a look. Let's dive in. And in the meantime, any questions, any comments, put them into the chat and we will deal with them as we go through.
Good morning.
Good morning. Classic, that looks like round here, actually. That looks like East London, like classic sort of, in fact, where is it? Classic, like, London-y type skyline. All right, she's got her YouTube. Is that maybe 100,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers?
Valentine's Day is right around the corner, you guys. I'm continuing my tradition of taking myself on a solo day every single year because my relationship to myself is the most important relationship in my life, and I get to celebrate the love I have for myself along with Valentines, romantic Valentines, but I have to put in some time for myself. So that's what today is about, and I'm starting the day with going on a walk, moving my body because...
Well, you kind of got to go on a walk with your body, don't you? It's very hard to go for a walk not with your body, unless you're having some kind of out-of-body experience. So that is sensible that she's chosen to bring her body with her for the walk.
That's a form of self-care. I want to give myself my best shot in terms of energy for the day. So I want to get out in nature. I want to move my body. That way I'm actually a fully functioning...
I'm not really dissing this video. I mean, look, it's great. I've got no issues with her, but it's quite funny, isn't it? She get out in nature, and she's like right in the center of one of the biggest metropolises on the planet. You know, like about as far from nature as you could possibly be.
Being human for the day, my mental health is a lot better. I am listening to my romanticizing life playlist on Spotify right now, and I am just people watching, and it's just such a beautiful start to my day. So I'm feeling really good.
I mean, I suppose the overall thing you could say about videos like this, people are saying in the chat, it's cope. She kind of, at the beginning, she says, oh, you know, so you've got Galentine's, which is when you hang out with the girls. This is her solo day. And then she says, oh, there's romantic Valentine's as well. So it might be that she also does have a boyfriend and she's just not talking about it in this particular video. But yeah, I mean, I think the problem with videos like this, generally speaking, is that it does all seem like a bit of a cope, doesn't it? It seems all a bit of a sort of like, oh, I'm just going to be at one with myself and be at one with nature and tune into my body and blah, blah, blah. And this is a very, very female genre. This is a very female way of looking at this. You would never see a guy. I mean, actually, to be honest, even that Korean dude, right? I mean, that was a relatively, I would say, feminized approach to the idea of being alone on Valentine's Day. I mean, most dudes, realistically, are probably going to get up late, scratch their butt, drink a few beers, watch some sports, and maybe collapse into bed at 10 p.m., right? So all of this, like, this self-nurturing stuff, it's very, very female. It's very sort of like woo-woo. It's very kind of Gwyneth Paltrow. And there you go. This is the modern female for you.
Today is all about good vibes and just doing things just to have a good day. I'm back from my walk and I brought myself roses, obviously.
I mean, massive coat, right? She's actually gone and bought herself flowers. Like the song says, right? She's literally gone and bought herself flowers. Fair enough. You know, we've all got to make ourselves feel good. And I suppose it's kind of in hand with the dude before who's talking about, you know, just being good to yourself, looking after yourself. I guess she's doing this, but just in a more female kind of a way.
I love these pink roses. I buy myself flowers every single week anyway. It's one of my favorite self-love practices that I give to myself.
But is it really... I was going to make a rude joke there. Is it really one of her favourite self-love practices? Or is she capping for the camera?
But today they are especially important because I am about to do another one of my annual Valentine's Day photo shoots. I always do a Valentine's Day themed like picture for my Instagram feed, but this year it's extra special because I wanted to give back to you guys this Valentine's Day. So I'm actually shooting for a set of pajamas that I'm giving away. I've worn it a few times before and I always get so many questions, so I've teamed up with the brand to give away the pajamas. So I'm thinking self-care vibes, reading Vogue in bed with a face mask on. Let's go shoot it.
This is she's so typical of the kind of 20-something woman that you get in London. Obviously, specifically, it seems like she is in London, and places like New York and probably Miami and so on and so forth. It's very, there's this weird sort of combination between the wellness side of things and the sort of spiritual side of things and the self-care side of things with the also rather consumerist side of things at the same time, if that makes sense. And I'm not sure quite how well those things gel together, because on the one hand you have people like this who are sort of saying, yeah, you know, be super spiritual and declutter your life and all of this kind of thing, but on the other hand they're also very they very much like the niceties of modern life. They very much like probably to buy expensive things and to get very nice looking clothes and to live in a very immaculate modern looking apartment. I mean, we're not talking about going and living in a mud hut on a mountain here to be close to God, are we? This is a very sort of urban kind of cappuccino fueled version of spiritual living and being at one with oneself.
Do like a super cute.
I mean, there you go. You know, she's got a Prada sign over her bed. I mean, obviously the bedroom is very well appointed. It looks immaculate. She's very well dressed. It looks like she's wearing a lot of jewelry. It looks like those things she's got under her eyes are probably quite expensive as well. It's all a very sort of, you know, it's like, yeah, getting to know myself, spending time with myself, uncovering myself, but it's done through this sort of filter of modern consumerism, which, as I say, there's a kind of disconnect, I think, with the way that these women think about these things.
Self-love, self-care vibe photo in these pajamas that I will be giving away to one lucky winner on my Instagram.
Who's this marketed at? Is this marketed at girls or is this marketed at guys? I assume girls, right? But like, are they going to be guys? Like, I don't know. It's a bit weird.
I'm so excited.
So excited.
Just gonna set up the right frame.
I need to start making vlogs like this, actually. I'll speak to Pearl. I'll see what she thinks. Maybe I can do a vlog like this from my own London apartment, and we can show what I do on Valentine's Day. But it's somewhat different to this, I would suggest.
Guys, I think I got it straight away. What the hell? Yeah, I feel so cute and so good about myself right now. I mean, literally only took one picture and I love it.
I mean, look, again, she reminds me so much of if you're out and about and you're dating women in their 20s. I mean, this is the kind of woman that you will come across quite frequently, and I love them. I mean, they're great, they're fun, they are, you know, they often have very interesting view on life. Actually, you know, people would say, well, they're all identical, they're the same, but not necessarily. I mean, everyone's got their own different background, everyone's got their own take on these things, everyone has their own individual personality. So I'm not throwing shade at her as such, but look, I mean, come on, it's a little bit narcissistic, isn't it? You know, this is the whole so what's she done so far? Well, she's popped out for about 5 minutes to go and be in nature when she walked down the middle of a metropolitan street, and now she's gone back and she's posing in front of a camera. And it looks like drinking in the daytime. I'm not sure what that is, but whatever. And taking photos of herself, and then giving herself applause for taking this wonderful picture of herself. It's all a little bit kind of consumerist, kind of self-obsessed, and really, it's a very interesting insight into how modern metropolitan women really are in 2024. You know, looking through Vogue and stuff like that. I mean, nothing wrong with that. But again, it's just that, you know, why does it have to be expensive clothes? Why does it have to be this luxury lifestyle? Why is it this obsession with these material things? You know, why does that have to be so important? Yeah, JBB says, buy my warm PJs. Don't they do that in Japan?
I got some really cute content for my Instagram and for the giveaway, which I'm going to be announcing in a few days. And now I'm just doing my glam because I'm about to take myself out on a lunch date. Then I think I'm going to take myself shopping, obviously, because Valentine's Day, I got to treat myself. And I want to be nice and dressy when I go, okay?
Well, obviously, why not? What you could say is, look, it's Valentine's Day, it's about love. So therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something loving for myself, but also for society. So I'm going to go and help in a homeless shelter. I'm going to go and, you know, maybe I'm going to go out and help in a charity shop, or I'm going to, you know, help at a place where they give food to people who are living on the streets. So I'm going to do one of these things. You know, why does it have to be, well, I'm going to take some photographs of myself and then I'm going to get really dressed up and then I'm going to go and spend a load of money on myself? Why does the version of love have to be that, as opposed to the more charitable type?
I always have to dress up for my solo dates. My rule is, if I was going on a date with someone else, if I was going on a date with my boyfriend, I would put hella effort into my appearance, so why would I not do that when it's just me on my own, you know? And I am going to be strutting through town hella confident. So for those of you who have been following me for a few years, and you know that I've been doing this Valentine's Day solo day every single year. I think this will be my 4th one now. And I always did it when I was
JBB says she just gave me a great idea. I'm going to go treat myself to the cheesiest triple cheeseburger and onion rings in the States. I think, yeah. I mean, look, each to their own, right? But I've just met so many women and dated actually so many women like this who have this kind of lifestyle and aspire to this kind of lifestyle. And look, you know, it's fun. I mean, I live in London. It's nice to go to cool places. It's nice to go to nice restaurants. It's nice to do a bit of shopping from time to time. We can all buy into that. But I think my criticism of her generation, and maybe it's a generational thing, maybe it's a gender thing, maybe it's a combination of the two, but just this obsession with that side of things, it seems to go a little bit too far. I think, okay, a little bit of that's nice, but a little bit of the more real side of things is nice too, and maybe we need to find a common ground somewhere.
Taking some time out to just celebrate my singlehood.
Oh, she is single. Okay, all right, fine.
To enjoy the...
Wait a minute, well, she might be single or... Well, she said before boyfriend. I suppose she meant notionally if she had a boyfriend, she put a lot of effort in. So it seems like she is single.
Process of not having a partner, and just change the perception that if you're alone, then Valentine's Day is like such a sad day for you. Like, no, you should just celebrate the love you have for yourself. But a lot of you also know that now I'm in a relationship. So me and my...
Okay, fine. So now she is in a relationship. Okay, fine, right.
Boyfriend do have Valentine's plans on the 14th and 15th of February. We're going on a little getaway, which I'm so excited for. But my rule on my self-love journey was this: I'm not going to stop putting effort into this as soon as I get into a relationship. Like, my self-love and my solitude isn't just a bridge between relationships that I just use to make myself feel okay because I feel lonely. No, it's a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong commitment and loyalty to myself. Oh my God, most importantly, this year is the first year I'm also going to be celebrating Galentine's. I have never done that, but I texted my friend and I was like, in a few days, come over to mine Friday night. Let's make chocolate covered strawberries. Let's have a movie night. Let's play We're Not Really Strangers, which is my favorite card game, which is like asks you deep questions. I have the self-love edition of it, and we can just check in with each other and have a cute Galentine's and like dress up all nice and watch rom-coms together. I've never done that. And so, you know, Valentine's is just such a cool, aesthetic, girly holiday. Whether you have a partner or not, you can find a way to celebrate it. And so this is the first year that I'm celebrating it 3 separate days with different people. I've made major strides in the friendship area of my life, and like a couple of years ago I just cut a lot of people off and got super fussy with what friendships I allow into my life and what standards I'm setting for my friendships, and it definitely meant that I was lonely for a long time. But I've met some incredible people this year who just align to me so effortlessly and just make me feel so loved and understood, and that love definitely deserves to be celebrated this year too. You know,
Yeah, so Marriage Causes Divorce says it's a generation thing. Her generation are high earners and more educated. They don't need a man anymore. Well, okay, but so obviously she's saying she has got a boyfriend now. And then he says, RIP to her boyfriend. She will be difficult to deal with in a relationship. I'm sure she's very masculine behind closed doors. Well, I mean, maybe not. I don't know. But she's certainly somebody who very much appears to like the luxury lifestyle. Now, what she was saying before, there was, you know, to be fair, more substance there. She was talking about this Galentine's thing. It's a bit cringe, isn't it? Galentine's Day, spending it with the girls, all of that shit. But nevertheless, the idea of, firstly, cutting out extraneous people from your life who aren't bringing value to your life, I think that's a good thing. And secondly, spending quality time with those people who are close to you, who you do feel are bringing value to your life. I think that is also a good thing. And she also makes the point, actually, about in the relationship, not becoming subsumed with your partner to the extent that, you know, you shut out other friendships and relationships and so on and so forth. And that is, to be fair, also good advice. And guys should heed this advice as well, because and what will often happen is the guy will get into a relationship with a woman, and maybe the woman starts to say, well, I don't really like you hanging out with those friends, or do you have to go out on Friday with the boys? Why can't you spend time with me? And so on and so forth. And he will concede to that. And the problem is, as he concedes to that, he gets almost like cut off from those friends. He falls very much into the woman's frame, and then he can find himself in getting into difficulties down the line. Okay, so this is something that guys need to really consider as well. Both parties really, to be healthy, because it gets very codependent and kind of you can fall into this hole with the other person, and really you don't want to do that. Okay, you need to retain your own individuality to some extent. So I would agree with her here. Anyway, let's see what she has to say now. I want to see the shopping trip that she does.
Started my self-love journey to learn how to love myself more, but then doing challenging things like going and dining amongst couples on the most romantic day of the year alone was major for my confidence.
I would say it's not that challenging to go to a restaurant and dine, but to be fair, I get where she's coming from. And actually, this is another point that guys can take from this. If you're watching this, we do need to step outside our comfort zone, okay? So if you are watching this as a dude and you're thinking, well, I can't even get a date, so what's this girl talking about? The value of that part is actually, yes, getting out there, maybe going out on your own, going out solo, and then interacting with people as you go out solo and pushing that comfort zone. It's so important, okay? And if you're not able to do that, then it's really, it's going to be a very uphill battle for you, okay? Game and getting better at relationships, getting better at integrating with the opposite sex or forming relationships with the opposite sex, it's not a thing that can be done in theory. It's not a thing that can be done by studying online or reading a book or watching a YouTube video. It's something that has to be played out there in the field, okay? So I would say, for women, maybe you're between relationships, it probably is a good thing to go out alone sometimes and maybe just go and have a meal on your own and just get used to being comfortable with yourself. And also, look, there's going to be dudes around, right? So you might have the opportunity, you might see a guy, if you give him some approach signals, he might come and speak to you, and that could be a great outcome for you, okay? If you're a guy and you're finding dating difficult, again, you've got to go out there, put yourself out there, and if you don't have any friends to go out with or nobody's available, go out on your own, go out solo. I've done many, many, many nights out solo, even doing night game, going to bars, going to clubs, going to restaurants, all that kind of thing. It doesn't faze me now. I could quite happily go out tonight, Valentine's Day, have a table in the middle of a restaurant with a bunch of couples around me. I don't give a shit, okay? But you get to that point through time and experience and just not caring what people around you think. And although I was initially kind of laughing a little bit at her, making it up like it's this huge thing, I do take her point. Actually, going out and being social on your own can be quite daunting at first. So it's something you need to lean into. That which scares us, we should lean into.
And because people respond in shock, I now document that journey online because I want people to change their perceptions of what it means to be single versus taken, and why does being taken automatically equate to you lead a better, fulfilling, more successful life. Like, that is utter BS, okay? I've been more miserable in the 4 past failed relationships I've been in rather than the entire...
I thought she was going to say, I've been more miserable in the 4 months since I've been with my boyfriend. Obviously not.
year I took out for myself. In fact, I flourished in that year. I got so much success. I grew into my own. I learned so many standards about what I wanted in my life that I wouldn't have known otherwise had I not taken that time out to think for myself. And majority of my confidence came about when I was single. You know why? Because I couldn't attach my confidence to other people or what other people thought of me because they weren't even in my vicinity. Like, I was always alone. That means that my opinion automatically was the most important one because it was the only one I was surrounding myself with. So I thought I would give you guys a little story time of past Valentine, because they weren't even in my vicinity. Otherwise, had I not taken that time out to think for myself. And majority of my confidence came about when I was single. You know why? Because I couldn't attach my confidence to other people or what other people thought of me because they weren't even in my vicinity. Like, I was always alone. That means that my opinion automatically was the most important one because it was the only one I was surrounding myself with. So I thought I would give you guys...
All right, so, I mean, that's not a bad point, actually. I think that the times that I have spent single, and I've been single really, for the last 3 years. I mean, not that I haven't dated, I haven't seen people, obviously I have, but I haven't been in anything serious for about the past 3 years. And I do think that the mental clarity and the mental strength and the strength of personality that you get through that experience is very, very strong. And in the past, I was always somebody who would go into serial relationships, really. Or I say serial. I mean, let's face it, they were overlapping, and there were overlaps within the overlaps. But, you know, essentially it will be a main girl, another main girl, another main girl, another main girl. And what you're kind of doing with that is, firstly, you're trying to avoid the pain of being on your own for a period of time. You know, you break with somebody and maybe that's painful and you don't want to face up to that. So then you're like, okay, well, I'll just jump onto the next and I'll feel okay again. And it sort of works a little bit, but it doesn't really work very well. And all you're really doing in the end is just delaying that pain anyway. And secondly, and this, again, it sounds cheesy as fuck. It sounds like just cap or whatever, but it's true. You don't get to learn about yourself, because you only really get to learn about yourself in the times when you are alone and you are able, like she says, to make decisions for yourself and not have to take other people's opinions on board to the same extent. You know, there's a lot of advantages to being in a relationship, but there are also a lot of advantages to being single as well. And people, guys as well as women, will often think, well, I just need to get into a relationship and then everything's going to be great. I'm going to be happy. And you look at the, you know, the black pill guys, the doomer guys online, and that's the narrative. It's like, well, I will never be happy because I won't find a relationship. If only a girl would give me a chance, but she won't because I'm too ugly. And it's like, well, even if that's true, even if you were suddenly to magically click your fingers and reverse that, and then you got a girlfriend, now what? You're still not going to be wonderfully happy either. It's the in many cases your problems begin when you involve yourself in a relationship with the other, because then suddenly it's not just you anymore. Then suddenly you're taking on board the characteristics, the flaws, the trauma, the emotional wounds or whatever it is of that other person, as well as your own. All right, and that in many cases can be a pretty heady brew, which is why a lot of relationships start to get into difficulties. Okay.
A little story time of past Valentine solo dates that I've taken myself on. So the most recent one last year, I was still living in my hometown. I hadn't even moved to Birmingham yet. I had just gone to the...
She's in Birmingham.
City centre, like...
I thought it was London. Oh, well, okay. Well, there you go. I thought it was London.
Shopping centre, and decided to do a full date day there. So I took myself shopping first, treated myself to some new clothes, and then I went to an Italian restaurant to take myself on a lunch date, and then I also did a cafe date, and I also did a museum date, like all back to back. It was a full date. It was really fun. But when I started off with my shopping date, I was checking out, I was at Zara, and the cashier was like, oh, what are you doing? Like, what are your plans for Valentine's Day? Because it was the 14th that I celebrated it. And I said, oh, you know, just taking myself out to lunch after this, doing some shopping, might go to a museum. And he said, oh, he was like, you're all alone, why? And I was like, because I want to be. I just thought, I love this holiday and I love celebrating it with myself. I really enjoy my alone time. And he just made the weirdest face at me, like, oh, like really, really judgy. But thankfully, that wasn't the first time that I'd celebrated Valentine's alone. So even though he was being very judgmental, it wasn't getting to me. Like, I feel like I just had this shield up that whatever judgment or negative vibes you throw at me, they can't penetrate this wall, okay? This wall is my unbreakable confidence that I have built from being alone and establishing the strongest sense of self, which evidently you don't have. Because here's the thing, you guys.
I mean, it's interesting that she would even have to defend that, though, isn't it? Because, and FJ Flores says, this woman can have a date on Valentine's Day if she wants. It's not the case for many men who are around couples, and the women in those couples have probably done very little to attract those men. Now, obviously, she is an attractive girl, okay? So, clearly, as you say, there is no problem with her. She could easily, on that Valentine's Day she describes, when she was in Zara, she could easily have got a date for that night. But there probably would have been queues of guys who would have taken her out for a date that night. So clearly the choice to be on her own on that day was hers. Now, it's interesting, though, that you see an attractive woman here who is almost having to, or feels like she has to overcome societal shame around it, right? Because from the guy's point of view, you think, well, she's pretty. She could easily get a date. So the guy in Zara who's saying to her, oh, what are you doing tonight? And she says, I'm not doing anything. And he looks at her as if it's really strange. Then you might think that she would just say, well, I mean, look, I mean, fuck you. Like, it's up to me what I do. Because look at me. Obviously, I could get a date if I wanted to. And as Flores here says, the same is not always true of the guy, because the guy who's in that position is going to feel shamed, because if the guy is not societally what women generally want, then he's going to feel like, well, I not only do I not have a date tonight, but that isn't even my choice. Okay, it's not even my choice not to have a date. That's been enforced on me by societal expectations, which I am unable to meet. Okay, and that's why a lot of these guys will feel less than and start to feel very depressed and very down on themselves and everything, because they feel like they have no power or leverage in the situation. Now, she does have power and leverage in the situation because she's young and she's attractive. Okay, and obviously, if she wanted to have a boyfriend then or have a date for that night, she could have had one. Now, it might be that she had just, for whatever reason, she had taken that choice not to be with anybody. That's fine. Equally, it might be that the guys that were hitting her up were not particularly great, and there was nobody there that she really wanted to, to pursue things with, and that again is her choice. But one thing we can be certain of is that she would definitely have had options, and as you say, there are many guys who, in her situation, will not have had options. But it's just very interesting. If you think about female security, I think we tend as guys to think, okay, there's an attractive woman. She must be super confident because she knows she's attractive. She knows she can get, a bunch of guys, whatever. She must have this super intact ego. And it's quite clear from this little clip of the video that she actually doesn't. It's not that she feels, she says that she doesn't feel insecure about the fact that she was alone on that Valentine's Day because, she's a strong, independent woman and so on. But clearly it's something a circle she's had to square in her own mind, okay, which is quite revealing when you think about it, because it shows. And if you're a guy and you're watching this and you think, oh, these girls out here, she's pretty and so she's going to be impenetrable. She's going to have this super high ego, and everything goes right for her all the time. It's an interesting insight to recognize that women too have insecurities that they mask, okay? And even an attractive woman will have these insecurities around her status. Why don't you have a boyfriend, okay? So it's not as clear-cut as we perhaps think it is.
If you are afraid of celebrating Valentine's alone out of fear that your friends might think you're cringy, or people might judge you, or look at you weird in a restaurant, or pity you thinking that, you can't get a date or whatever, just remember, people are saying that because they're projecting their own insecurity and shame onto you. When people judge you for doing certain things, it's because to they themselves, it's inconceivable that you would have the confidence to be able to do that. So they form opinions based on how they would act if that same situation was happening in their life.
I think as well, it's a good point. And once again, we can translate this to guys watching this as well, because I know a lot of the audience are guys, and you might be thinking, well, it's all right for her because she's pretty, she can go and get a boyfriend, whatever, fine. But as guys also, we have to disregard what other people around us think, okay, socially. So, and this is this really comes into play with cold approach. We say to the client, right, okay, go and approach that girl. She's sitting having a coffee on her own. She's attractive. Why didn't you go up and say hello? Okay, very, very simple. Go up, hey, hello, you look very nice. I wanted to say hi. And then see how she reacts to that, okay? Nothing cringe, nothing, just very, very simple. If she doesn't want to talk, that's fine. If she does, you can continue the conversation. A lot of guys won't want to do that because they're afraid of what her response is going to be. And they're also afraid of what the other people around might think. But actually, and kind of parallel to what she's saying, we have to disregard what these other fuckers think. Like the people around and what they might think about you approaching that woman and having the balls to do that, who gives a shit? All right. And if people are critical around you, and they're very unlikely to be verbally critical or to say to your face that they don't approve. But if they kind of look at you or they kind of laugh or something like this, and they show they're being critical in some way, well, fuck them. Because the reality is they would never have had the balls to do what you just did socially. Okay. So in social situations, we have to learn to disregard, to a large extent, what other people are thinking of us or what we perceive other people to be thinking of us, and just to focus on taking the action that we want to take to get the outcomes that we want to get, okay? Really, really key stuff here, I think. I feel half naked, so says I, and thanks for tuning in. I was shopping with my parent and having mild fever. I didn't manage to approach any girls. They kept walking past me. How do I accept I have a bad situation at that moment and still do it? Tough. Well, look, if you're with your parent, is that the most appropriate time to be running off and hitting on girls? I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily. Look, you don't have to be cold approaching non-stop. There are situations, and you're ill as well. There are situations where it's kind of not appropriate. If I'm with my parent, I'm going to meet my mother tomorrow. Am I going to be running around and cold approaching while she's there? Probably not, because it's kind of like it's not the right context. So I don't think you have to feel like you need to be doing this stuff all the time. It's not a 24/7 thing. You need to pick and choose your moments. But the key thing is, when you are going to do it, you've got to be confident, and you're not going to be concerned with what other people who don't matter around you think. I mean, your parent does matter. Some random dude wearing a Reebok tracksuit from 1995 who might laugh at you because you approach a girl, he doesn't matter.
It literally never has anything to do with you. And that is how I remain so unfazed, because I'm like, honey, I know you're trying to judge me right now, but you're literally just telling on yourself. And like, that's really sad for you, but at the end of the day, the girls that get it, get it. And if you don't get it, that's fine. It's not my responsibility to teach you or to even over-explain myself. Like, I told you I want to spend time alone, and that's that. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. I was never seeking your approval in the first place. Okay, I finished with my glow. I'm just gonna top off my lips with the NYX matte lip cream in London. This is a go-to for me, just to get a matte lip. And now it's time to pick an outfit. So I already know the dress I want to wear. The question is now how I'm going to style this. This is brand new. I got it from a brand called Miss 60, and it's just a denim mini strapless dress. I literally didn't have anything like this in my wardrobe, and I love this because this style of dress is so trendy right now, and there are so many different ways that you could style a dress like this. It has these really...
I mean, how long does she take? Like, it must be about 12 o'clock by now. She spent like hours, like literally, you know, going for a walk, doing the photo shoot, putting on the makeup. I mean, just the amount of time it takes to be a woman is crazy, isn't it? Jesus Christ. I mean, can you imagine like the guys in the chat here probably just roll out of bed, you know, have a shower, and then you're good to go. I mean, it's probably like 2 p.m. or something by now for her. Reebok tracksuit from 95. So that sounds very specific. Who hurt you?
Really cool, like huge pockets on the side, which are so handy. This dress, this color with my stacked gold jewelry is such a vibe. And when I was putting it on, guys, I realized this isn't even a strapless dress, but they're hidden so well. So actually, you can do it any way you want. So my idea was to put this trench on top to give it a more edgy look. Okay, so I have this turtleneck that I'm putting on underneath for an extra layer. And I think when you do this with dresses, it just makes them look so much more interesting. It gives you so many more ways to wear them. And then I think I'm going to skip out on the tights, and for shoes, I'm going to pair these black leather knee-high boots because I just feel like it matches the vibe of the dress. Are you joking? Would I not just be the most fashionable person in the street right now? I'm going to play it a little simpler and let the dress be the star of the show. I'm just going to pair it with this navy leather D'Amelio London bag.
Fair enough, that's what I would have done. It is Birmingham, Jesus Christ. I thought it was London at the beginning. Oh, well, there you go.
It's Saturday right now and it's packed in here, so it makes vlogging a little bit awkward and not.
The last time I went to Birmingham was actually during the pandemic because my girlfriend's at the time's relations or brother lived up there, and so we went up there a few times during that kind of period. And before that, I hadn't been out in Birmingham much. For you UK viewers, anybody watching this outside the UK, you won't necessarily know. Birmingham's like the second biggest city. And before that, I used to go back in the 90s. There used to be quite a good club scene there. But I mean, Birmingham's just we have a problem in the UK, right? And the problem is really city-wise, London is. And I'm sorry for people who don't live here, but really, city-wise, London is the only game in town, to be honest. You know, there's such a huge marked difference in size and in scale and in the variety of things and the culture and everything from something like London down to Birmingham, and then you go to the third, which is Manchester. And, Manchester is a place that I will always, hold close to my heart. I used to live there. I had a very fun time there. Birmingham, bit boring. Liverpool's okay. Leeds, all right, yeah, fine. But London's the only game in town, really, and it's just like you're trying to live this Sex and the City lifestyle, but you're in Birmingham. It's just not as. She needs to move to London, really.
Easy, so I might switch to a voiceover, but I just ordered a nice mocktail and some food. I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy, and it's been a while since I did a solo date at like a fancy restaurant, so I'm really excited. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna look at the canal, people watch, be alone with my thoughts.
Oh right, so is this the solo? This is her solo date with herself, isn't it? Yeah. Which is, again, fine. I mean, I think somebody actually said in the chat that, I feel sort of nervous to go out on my own. And I don't think you should. I think that you really should get used to, as a guy or a girl, get used to doing this stuff. So you go out, you're able to go out, be on your own, people watch. Nobody ever fucking looks at you. Like, here's the reality as well. I mean, nobody gives a shit. All right, like zero, like literally, we think in our head, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to be on my own in this social space. It's Valentine's Day. What's everyone going to think? Nobody gives a crap, right? Nobody gives a crap about you and your random, existence. They're too wound up with their own stuff. They're too concerned with their own stuff. Nobody gives a shit, really. So, and particularly like the advantage that men have over women, right, is that men are generally speaking the instigators in terms of sexual adventure, okay? Because men are the guys who approach, they're the guys who make things happen or instigate, right? So as a guy, you've got the whole world, basically. You could go out on your own, you see an attractive girl, you see her sitting there on a solo date, maybe you go over, you have a conversation, maybe that goes well, maybe it doesn't, whatever, but you have the power as the instigator to go out there and make things happen, or not, or you can just sit there and you can people watch and everything else. There's huge freedom in being a guy. And really having the whole world as your canvas, okay? And for a woman as well, look, I mean, if you are a woman and say, today you're thinking, well, it's Valentine's Day, it would have been nice if I'd have met somebody, but I haven't, and I'm going to not have a date. You could take a leaf out of her book and you could go out alone this evening and just go and have a drink. And, if you see somebody that you like, maybe give them inviting signals. I'm not talking about trying to be overly sexy or anything like that, but maybe just smile and give open invitation so that if there's a guy there and he's feeling a little bit nervous, then he's going to come and approach you. I think we need to become comfortable with ourselves and putting ourselves out there much more than we are. And I think particularly post pandemic and in this new online TikTok world where everyone's sitting behind screens, we're less and less comfortable with being social and being with ourselves. And that is a very, very bad thing.
Starter has arrived. It's so fancy. It's salmon sashimi with wasabi, ginger, soy sauce, and this little ice bath. I have had this before, and it's so bomb.
I took a few little pictures for my Instagram stories and stuff, and then I always make it a priority to put my phone away on a solo date. I know this might look boring to a lot of you, like I really do just sit there.
You can't beat a bit of sashimi, can you? Great source of protein. It looks like it's just on the ice, isn't it? It looks like she hasn't got any rice there, which is even better, right? No carbs, protein, bit of veg, excellent stuff.
I look around, but most of all, I'm really present with my thoughts. I feel like my life is so full on. Most of us are, we're always rushing to the next responsibility or errand or work task.
So little Nikki says, last time I went out alone, I got asked how much. and how much did you quote out of interest, asking for a friend. Yo Kian Hui says, hello, sir. Good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in again. Let me know what you think about the email I sent you. He says, maybe more people should read the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Absolutely. I mean, look, we need to give less of a fuck, basically. In social situations, we need to be ballsy and confident and not care what other people think. I spent far too much of my life, particularly my earlier life, like really, really concerned about, oh my God, what's this person going to think? What's that person going to think? Are they going to think I'm boring? Are they going to think I'm sad? Are they going to think I'm not good enough? And it's nonsense, right? Just got to go out there and make things happen for yourself. And the advantage that guys have over women is that because we are the instigator, like she probably, in most situations, she's not going to approach, right? Because it's probably it's just not something she's likely to do. Okay, so she has less agency in a sense than any guy watching this who goes out and has a solo dinner himself, because you can go and have the solo dinner and that could be really nice in its own sake, but also you also have the power to approach as well. You might want to, you know, the waitress might be really cute. She might be giving you some flirty smiles. You might want to talk with her. There might be somebody else you see, you know, across the bar. You decide to go over and say hello. You have a conversation. Huge advantages as a man that women actually don't have. So always need to remember that, okay? There is huge power in being able to, A, be able to sit with yourself and not feel bad about it and not care what other people think, and B, actually go and interact with other people while you're doing so.
And so when I'm on a solo date, I really just use that time to check in with myself. And don't get me wrong, you can use your phone to kind of build up your tolerance because it can be awkward in the beginning, but I eventually phased it out because I realized if I continue to use my phone, I'm just using it as a distraction from actually spending quality time with myself.
Walking on the canal right now because there's actually a Harvey Nichols at the end of this canal, so I'm going to go to this little small shopping centre and spoil myself because that's what Valentine's Day is about.
Because that's what Valentine's Day is all about. Mindless consumerism, just spending money on crap, just buying more clothes. That's what it's all about, guys.
I was ready to do damage, and I honestly didn't find
I was ready to do damage.
much, but just the process of window shopping for like an hour was really fun, and it was a nice way to just spend that silent time with myself. In the end, I just bought a Colour Wow Dream Coat top-up.
What the hell is that? Coincidentally, that does look a bit like the subtle art of not giving a fuck. Let's see if it is. That would be bizarre if it was, wouldn't it? Okay, all right. It's a book about manifestation. Fine.
Then I headed to a cafe. I tried out this new one, which had such a cute vibe to it, and I always like to have a reading day. It's my favorite type of solo date. I decided to really indulge and treat myself because it's Valentine's Day, and I had this pastry which was absolutely divine. I haven't had one of these in so long. So I ate that, I read my book, and just enjoyed the ambiance of the cafe. And
So marriage causes divorce. Very cynical. He says she's looking for another boyfriend. Well, I mean, you could argue that. That's a very cynical way of putting it. You could argue that because she's got all dressed up. I mean, another way of looking at this, if you want to be red pill and, you know, sort of devious about it, is to say, well, actually what she's doing is she's out on her own and she's advertising herself to the other men who might be around. That would be one way of looking at it. I can't possibly endorse that view. Marriage causes divorce. Maybe that's what she's doing. Maybe it isn't. But, you know, she's saying she's there to find herself and all of that. So let's take her at her word.
matcha latte.
I think the reality is probably what would happen. I mean, maybe Nikki can verify this, but I think probably what would happen is if she did get hit on, and it's possible that she did, you know, somebody came up and was like, oh, you're cute, and started a conversation, she would probably turn them down because she's with this dude, whatever, right? However, she would probably also like the attention, okay? Because, of course, women love attention. They thrive on attention. Okay, she's gone out. She's looking very nice. She's looking very glamorous. And I'm sure that... now, there's two ways of looking at this, because on the one hand, you've got this idea, okay, well, you know, she's out on her own. She doesn't want to be bothered. She doesn't want to, you know, have attention that she hasn't asked for. So there's that. But on the other side of it, you know, if a decent looking guy came over and approached, would she be flattered by that? I would suspect that she would. So there might be a subconscious element of that going on as far as motivation is concerned. Would she act on it? Probably not, because I would imagine she's fairly traditional. You know, it seems like she's apparently taken out some time, and now she's with this dude. She probably wants to make it work.
Just got back, you guys. The rain caught me, but I'm back home and I'm gonna get on ready, give this flat a bit of a tidy, and just have a relaxing evening. I don't get to unwind very often, and although I had set a goal of like relaxing every evening, that has not happened because work has been so full on. So since today's theme is self-love, I'm celebrating Valentine's Day, and it's about just honoring my needs and prioritizing what's going to make me happy. put some cozy clothes on, might make some chocolate covered strawberries and watch a movie, relax, go to sleep early and just laze around a little bit before it's back to normal work and daily responsibilities tomorrow. So I'm super excited. Today has honestly just been a day full of doing my favorite things and I have loved it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. If you did, comment down below, let me know what you liked because it helps me improve my future vlogs, and feel free to check out all of my previous Valentine's Day that I spent solo because they are all YouTube videos online. Have the best Valentine's Day, guys, because you deserve it. Don't be afraid to go out there solo, celebrate the love you have for yourself. I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to see everything you accomplish. I love it when you tag me in your Instagram stories, and I will see you same time next week for a new vlog. Bye.
Well, there you go. So a day in the life of Tam Kaur, and she looked like she had a pretty damn good time, really, to be honest. I mean, she had a better day than that Korean dude cooking bean sprouts in his bedroom, right? I mean, you know, it's very luxurious, quite consumerist. You know, a bit of self-soothing in there. Again, it's this interplay, isn't it, in the modern woman between the sort of the spiritual, you know, she's reading her book on manifestation, but then also there's this very sort of like consumerist side to it as well. You know, it's Harvey Nichols, it's going to this cute cafe, it's, you know, everything's got to be Instagrammable, it's creating cute photos of yourself, it's all this very sort of like external stuff. And this is how modern women are. In the main, okay, it's all about dopamine. It's all about, we're all dopamine addicted. Okay, there's a great book called Dopamine Nation, which is by, I can find it in a minute on my Audible. But you should read it because we're all kind of like Dopamine Nation by Dr. Anna Lembke. Well worth listening to or grabbing a copy of to read. You know, we all like these dopamine spikes, don't we? In the case of the woman, in the case of her, going out, going shopping, maybe getting some attention. You know, getting likes on her stories, getting likes on the content that she posts, the photographs, etc., etc., etc. You know, there's so many different stimuli going on there, okay? And then the whole thing about like, oh, you know, Valentine's Day. Now she's in a relationship now, so okay, so it's slightly different. But often women will post this kind of thing, and it does seem like it's a bit of a cope, you know, because it's like, oh, well, it's all just about me, and I just want to get to know myself and spend time with myself and all this kind of thing. And it's like, well, but do you really, you know, or are you just saying that because it sounds good and it's kind of like, you know, it's a bit of a cope. So I don't know. Marriage causes divorce, being very cynical in the chat. He's saying she's pretending she's making content. Really, it's plausible deniability. So she's actually looking for a man making that content. Naughty, naughty. Little Nicky says all women love attention. So marriage causes divorce says attention equals I can still get another man in the marketplace if my current man dumps me. Yeah, indeed. And often, you know, contrary to the idea that women are out there cheating 24/7, I don't think they are. But they certainly like to know that if the shit hits the fan with the current relationship, they have options. You're right, okay? And I think that does, you know, because really, she says in the video she's got really glammed up and she looks really nice to go out to make herself feel good. But is it wholly that, or is there also this subconscious desire, not necessarily to attract anybody to her, but to, you know, so that she can go out, she's going to get some looks, she's going to get some male attention. And that's going to make her feel good. That's going to make her feel more secure in herself, right? I think the most telling part of the video was the bit that we focused on before when she was sort of saying, she was describing the incident with the guy who was serving her in Zara that time and was asking her why she was on her own on Valentine's Day. And she was like, well, I could, you know, because I'm doing my own thing and blah, 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 whatever. And all of that's fine. It's very laudable. But I think just even that little exchange, you can see that it's certainly given her something to think about, okay? There's certainly an element there within the female psyche of like, you know, having to prove something. Like, oh, well, I could get a man if I wanted to. Which is really interesting because, as I say, I think a lot of guys will think, well, she's a pretty girl, she's attractive, she's never going to feel not confident. She's always going to feel super confident, she's always going to be on top of her game. And that's not necessarily the case. RJ Flores says, honestly, though, although this woman is very physically attractive, her personality just puts me off. Not saying she's a horrible person, but something just feels off. Okay, and Little Nicky says she's not my type. Yeah, fine. Okay, well, that's your opinions. She's made a bunch more of these things. I mean, we could even have a look at. I don't know what was last. Should we have a quick look at a year ago? People like these. Let's have a quick look at what she said. We won't watch the whole thing, but let's have a quick look at what she did last year.
I have done my makeup and my hair. I'm pretty much ready for the
She had a nose ring last year.
I just got to pick out an outfit and I don't know what I'm wearing, so you guys are going to have to help me with that. But first, I've made some breakfast / brunch because it's late morning now. And I've actually made the exact same thing that I made on my last Valentine's Day vlog, which is avocado on bagels, which is the best.
You can't beat a bit of avocado.
I'm going to eat this, choose what I'm going to wear, and so near me in this nothing is folded, everything is falling from the shelves. I'm going to go with the skirt. I always go
myself in my Valentine's Day vlog last year. If you want to check it out, is called Unattached, and these are filled with different essays by
You're going to feature in it now.
Yeah, all he does is pay there. Yeah, all he does is pay there.
Right now, YouTube.
Oh, she does get a bit of male attention here. All right, let's see what happens.
You want to be in my vlog? Shout yourself out.
Hey, me?
Yeah. I made new friends today. Yes, I do YouTube.
YouTube as well?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, YouTube. Then I do Instagram where I work with black brands and stuff. And then I do TikTok as well.
So you see that I'm going to shoot the weekend. You see that?
Yeah.
And obviously all he does is just pay there. Bro, the $5 bills.
You're going to feature in it now.
Yeah, all he does is pay there. And then
I would say just put out an Instagram story and say what you're looking for. Most of the time people will DM you and be like, yeah, I'm interested in this.
Thanks for keeping me entertained, you guys.
Maybe that's the city.
These two were judging me for being alone.
Wasn't judging. No, saying you don't need to be alone.
I want to
He wants a bit of the action, doesn't he?
be alone. Oh, no thanks, no thanks.
I don't.
I'm joking. Have a good day, bye. I ruined it and get changed into my dress, which I got specifically Chloe Gourmand. And that is by the time I was journaling, which boys I'd seen walking around the city centre alone. Fairy lights on the second floor, right next to a window, super cute, super romantic. I was loving it. And I said like, oh yeah, I have a table reserved for one. And he was walking me up the stairs and he goes, oh, so do you not have anyone joining you tonight? And I was like, no, it's just me. And he was like, oh. And I was like, no, that's fine. Like, I'm happy. I'm just like on a little date with myself. And he goes, have you ever been to this restaurant before? And I was like, no, first time. He goes, first time alone. Oh. And I was like, why is this guy so sad for me? And then I sit down and he's like, oh, you're very dressed up. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm dressed up for myself. And I was saying it like super happily and I was smiling. He was like, oh, okay. And he
It is weird though, isn't it? Why these guys would be so that guy was probably flirting with her, probably trying to get a piece of the action. But I mean, it's odd because we know instinctively that if she wanted to have male company, she absolutely could have male company. Okay, so there's no point from the man being like, oh, it's so sad you're on your own, because look, it's her choice, right? Clearly she has the leverage in the dating marketplace to attract somebody to her if she wanted to. So very clearly it is a personal choice. Whereas the issue for the dude, if there was a dude of, you know, however old she is, and, you know, he's sitting there on his own, there could be a very real suspicion that it's because he can't meet anybody. Okay, with her, obviously, we all kind of know, really. I mean, people in the chat calling her a mid or whatever, well, fine. But the reality is, we all know that if she wanted to, she could get a date like that. So, it is what it is. I noticed, I think in the later video, her accent has become a little bit more refined, which is interesting. Maybe moving into Birmingham itself. I think this video is pretty much the same as what she did in the last one, really. So it's all this kind of like this self-talk stuff. This like, yeah, I'm just going to love myself, and care for myself and blah, 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 a little bit woo-woo. I think that women are probably, in the one hand, women are sort of better at this stuff. They're better at the self-care stuff. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, all right? Because I think guys, we feel like we've got to be super stoical the whole time. We beat ourselves up. We buy into the whole grind culture. You've got to be on your grind 25 hours of the day. And if you're not, you're a pussy and all of that. And I think there is something actually to be said for taking a bit of time out for yourself and, just chilling and just learning to feel good with yourself, and feeling good being out on your own in social situations is also super, super key as well. Okay. But the issue that guys have is that the impetus for performance is also upon us. So we can't just get away with sitting in the cafe and looking pretty and having people coming up and talking to us. Okay. We also have to go out there and initiate as well. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. All right, because the advantage that guys have over women is that women do have to be relatively passive for the most part in the dating market. They can't, they generally don't approach. They don't really want to approach. So they have to kind of sit there and wait and make themselves look as good as possible and, just hope that the right guy comes along and the right guy sticks around. Whereas for guys, you can be a lot more intentional in your dating when you get the skill set down. I would think both men and women like to know they're still attractive at any age. True. That interaction has made her day. She knows she's still got it and it's pre-wall. Well, she's probably about 22, man. I mean, she's not going to be worrying. She's not sitting there worrying, oh my God, have I hit the wall? I mean, she probably never even heard the term. I guess she has enough followers to fund this lifestyle, I guess. Well, So, moving on from that, what we could do then is have a look at, I did a post on X basically saying, okay, so 5 strategies to get a date on Valentine's Day. 80% of guys are covered in Cheeto dust in a spare room. 80% of guys watching this. Even I'm covered in Cheeto dust underneath the desk. Okay, right, so let's have a look to finish off at the tips that I put out on X. If you're out there now, you want to get a date for tonight, you're thinking, what do I do? Then here are some tips, and these will work, I think, on both sides of the equation for guys and for girls. But let's have a look. This was mainly aimed at guys, but let's see if there's any value for the female viewers as well. 5 strategies to get a date for Valentine's Day. Not keen to spend Valentine's night alone. Here's what you need to know to find a hot girl to hang out with. Okay, firstly, take the pressure off yourself. So the first thing to do is to recognize that all of this is bollocks, and people have said that in the chat. We all kind of know this. Valentine's Day is kind of made up nonsense to sell greetings cards, chocolates, wine, and teddy bears and gifts and things. It's not real. It doesn't really fucking matter. It's all a load of bullshit. So first off, don't worry about it anyway. However, there are people, and we might think it's just a female thing, but it isn't. There are also guys, particularly from the more doomer side of the internet, and those guys really are just hopeless romantics with a kind of, attempted edgelord sheen over the top. There are guys who really buy into this. They're like, oh my God, I'm alone. It's Valentine's Day. Oh, I'm forever alone, and all that kind of stuff. So the first thing you've got to recognize is it's all nonsense anyway. So don't fucking worry about it. However, with that being said, because you see pictures like that and you think, oh, if only I could find my beloved, my other half and all of that. Here's a few suggestions. So secondly, go through old leads first. Now, this is like the old sales principle, okay? Which is basically, it's easier to sell to existing customers, people who bought previously, or at least people who have expressed an interest, okay? So you want to go through and look at, okay, so was there a girl who maybe, something nearly happened and then it didn't because of logistics, or, girls that you met and then you kind of lost contact with for one reason or another? I mean, are there, because what you should be doing really as a guy is you should be out and about the whole time. You should be meeting loads of different people, getting loads of different phone numbers and so on. And some of those are going to lead somewhere, some of them aren't. And some of them aren't, not definitely because she wasn't interested, but just for logistical reasons, or they kind of fall off the radar because you're so busy, because you've got a boss life and you're doing other shit, okay? So what you want to do, if you want to get a date tonight, is reach out to some of those girls, okay? Send out a mass text to a bunch of those girls, just a very simple, hey, how are you? You good? Maybe a little emoji or a little sticker or something like that, and just see what comes back. Now, in many cases, nothing's going to come back, and that's fine, But if she is also on her own, and maybe she's looking for something to do, or she wants a bit of validation, then maybe she's going to respond to that text message. Then you can get into a conversation, and maybe you can, angle that to a date. So what are you up to tonight? Okay, cool. Why don't we go grab drinks? It's absolutely possible, but that's the kind of the low-hanging fruit, and you should always look for the low-hanging fruit first. The next thing is number 3 is Valentine's Day game. Now, actually, Valentine's Day is a pretty good excuse to do some cold approach. So you might be walking through the mall, you might be in the coffee shop, you might be in the hotel lobby, wherever it is, and you see an attractive woman, and it's a good time to just go up and say, hey, listen, I know this is kind of unusual, but you look so pretty. I had to come over and say Happy Valentine's Day, okay? Now, most women are going to take that in the spirit which it's intended, okay? Most women are going to think that's cute and kind of charming and probably quite ballsy for you to have done. It doesn't mean she's going to jump into bed with you, but generally speaking, she's going to say, oh, thank you, I appreciate that, that's really nice. Now, it might be that she's got a boyfriend or she's married or whatever. She'll tell you, okay, fine. But if she doesn't, really, with all of these things, you go up, you present yourself confidently, and obviously you're well-dressed, you come across well, you speak well, you've got strong eye contact and so on, then there may be interest there. And if there's interest there and you can tell the interest, her eyes brighten, she looks pleased, she smiles, she starts asking you questions, etc., etc. She's, she becomes animated and involved in the discussion. Then you can take things forward and just say, look, I know this is kind of crazy, but how about we grab drinks later? I mean, we've only got one life, so we may as well, sometimes you've got to take a chance. So I know this really cool bar. Why don't we meet there at 8 o'clock? Okay? Just keep it really, really simple. Or go for a coffee with her there and then. I've got 15 minutes. Why don't we go grab a coffee? I know a super cool place just around the corner. Okay? You really can do this. And today, Valentine's Day, of all days, there's an excuse to do it. There's an additional excuse to do it because it's Valentine's Day. So you can do this kind of cute, charming, romantic comedy kind of thing. The next one is number 4, boost your profile on the dating apps. So I know people are going to bristle at this in the comments, but look, there's no harm in throwing a bit of money at the dating apps to give your profile a boost, okay? You may as well chuck in, 10 quid, 20 quid, $20, whatever it is. Give your profile a boost on Tinder or any of the other apps that you're on, and just see if there's any low-hanging fruit out there, right? There might be, okay? It's a kind of emotive day for people. There might be women out there who are sitting around and they're looking for, they're thinking, well, I got stood up, or this guy I was thinking was going to ask me out didn't. And, if you can get in front of them, that's got to be a good thing. I'm not saying I'm not a huge fan of dating apps. I don't use them myself, but I think that, if you're on them, you may as well give it a go. Why not? If you can afford to just put a little bit of cash in there. Because remember, they're a business. They will incentivize people who spend money on them in order to give them better service. So if you want to just do a shortcut and get in front of some women, then do a boost or whatever the equivalent is on the different apps. Number 5, you can also put out a bait photo of yourself on your Instagram stories, on your WhatsApp profile. On the WhatsApp profile, you can post a photograph that disappears after 24 hours. Snapchat, if you use that, things like this. Put out a photograph of yourself that is kind of girl-friendly. So maybe you are holding a cute dog, or maybe you are, there's you with a baby, relative of yours or something, or, you're just doing something that's kind of cute, or you're looking particularly attractive or whatever in that photograph. Put it out there and see what happens. See who looks at the photo, okay? You know how on Instagram stories you can see who's looked at your stories, okay? So go through and then look at who's looked at it after a few hours. You can do this on WhatsApp as well. You can see who's looked at it. And then if there's some attractive women on there who you think might be single, or maybe some women that you've interacted with in the past and it hasn't gone anywhere, or maybe it even has gone somewhere and then you guys have lost contact for whatever reason, reach out to her. Just send her a quick ping. Just send her a one-liner. Hey, how's it going? How are you? See what's up, okay? And again, if she's receptive, she comes back and she responds well, then you can propose, okay, well, I know a cool place. Why don't we meet for drinks later? All right? Very, very simple stuff. Again, kind of low-hanging fruit, but it's a good way to use technology to kind of, like Instagram stories and to some extent the WhatsApp thing as well. Really good way to sort of prompt people to get into contact with you who otherwise may have forgotten about you or may not have got into contact with you otherwise. So it's not like you're directly reaching out to them, but they may see that story and then choose to get into contact with you because you've triggered something in their mind. So it's a kind of a under the radar way of getting people to contact you, which is really, really useful. All right, so that's 5 little tips there. Basic stuff, but, you know, remember, sex, as John MLD used to say, is sales, okay? And the more that you put yourself in front of potential customers, the more likely you are to be successful in the dating marketplace. Low-hanging fruit, is that the new red pill savagery lingo, Troy Francis? No, not really. It's just it's a common phrase, isn't it? And then marriage causes divorce, better off throwing a quid in King's Cross or Soho. Well, whatever. I mean, it depends. I mean, I think, you know, it obviously if it's tumbleweed on the dating apps for you, and you're just getting nothing, then probably it's better not to waste your money yet. But if you're getting some sort of response, then incentivizing the company to put you out there for a period of time, you can get a boost for a few hours, could make sense. Obviously, you know, do your own research, make your own decision on that. But I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. You know, again, these are all just little things to try and prompt people to get in contact or to bring, you know, fish to the surface, as it were. But the best thing you can do really is go out, have a walk around, and actually talk to some people, okay? Because meeting in real life, cold approach always trumps meeting online, hands down, okay? Because you're able to convey so much more in a direct approach than you are just by her seeing a photograph or her swiping past you in 2 seconds on a dating app, okay? You're always able, and you always gain additional points. You always come across better in real life, or most people do anyway, than you do through static images. So the key thing here really is get out and talk to people. But the other things as well, you can try them. Just give yourself a little bit of extra juice in the tank. Okay. Anybody got any other questions? Any other things that they want to cover on this wonderful Valentine's Day? Yo says, I replied to the email. Good stuff, bro. Thank you very much. Cool. Okay. Well, look, I mean, all I can say is have a great Valentine's Day. Don't overthink it. It is what it is, and get yourself out there, you know. SJ says, not sure why your content hits me in a way Tusk doesn't. He seems pissed off. Troy seems more chill. The message lands for me, Troy Francis. Yeah, man. It's a lot of opium. A lot of opium. I'm only joking. Yeah, whatever. I think that you have to, and I'm not saying Tusk does this as well, but you have to take life on life's terms, and that's kind of I try to give a relatively balanced message on these things, largely because I don't think getting super angry really helps anybody, right? It doesn't help you to be super angry about the 304s and the current dating marketplace and all of that. You got to look at it and you got to think, all right, so what's the state of play out there? How can I get the best out of it for myself? Fine. Okay. Well, look, anyway, get out there, get at it, go and talk to some people, try and get some dates in. I'm not here tomorrow, but I will be doing a show on Friday, 2 p.m. UK time, so look out for that. And yeah, happy Valentine's Day, folks. Do please give me a like. We got 15 people in here at the moment, so please, we want at least 15 likes on the video. Really helps push the video up the algorithm, so thank you for that. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Hit notifications so that you know when new videos are coming up. We're putting out content all the time on this channel, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, because we're just going to be ramping that up as we get into the spring. And yeah, check out later. I think Pearl's doing a show on her channel about regarding Thor and Thor's book about masculine dominance. So look out for that, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.